What is going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here, back here in Blazing Swords. This is, of course, Let's Watch The Last of Us HBO Episode 1. We are going over week to week with our thoughts and review of The Last of Us HBO on an episode-by-episode basis, ending in the review for Season 1 as a whole. With me, of course, what did we say? What was your tagline? Did we even come with a tagline? I forgot.
Was it the one and only? Is that what it is? What is it? No.
Well,
the point in progress.
Is it the point in progress?
I think it is the point in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. With me, of course.
Point in progress.
With me, of course. The point of the progress. The point in the progress. Mario Rivera, co-founder of Point in Progress. Right. How you doing, good sir?
Doing good. I can't believe what an episode.
Man,
what an episode. I texted you immediately, just a gift, because I didn't want to say anything, because I remember you saying you were not going to watch it immediately.
Yeah, and, I was in New Orleans celebrating my beautiful partner's birthday, you know what I'm saying? I did try to low-key, be like, hey, listen, there's this show premiering, you know what I'm saying? Would you like to? Because she's actually seen The Last of Us. Her and her sister watched a playthrough of the first game years ago, right? And she definitely wanted to watch it, but we just never got around to it. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I know we were talking where I was gonna try and download it, watch it on the plane home. That didn't work out. So I'm like, I'll just be patient. I'll just watch when I get home. And wow.
I'm glad you didn't, because man, imagine just Kevin Diaz crying on a plane. Just tears in his eyes.
Yo, I was crying. I was crying a lot. We're going to get all into that good stuff. But down below, you can find Mario's links in the description, of course, to his Twitter, his Point in Progress channel, of course. If there's any other links you want, you know what I'm saying? I've had past guests put their portfolios down there. By all means, I'm down for that. You know what I'm saying?
If anything, I'll provide you my link tree, and then that will give you direction to everywhere that you can find me.
Delightful.
That's right.
All the points in the progress. All of it.
That's right.
All of it. Before we get directly into our thoughts and our, full just feelings and everything we have to unpack with episode 1, we do got some light news here I want to bring up. First up here, Last of Us HBO does garner 4.7 million viewers. I believe, I'm not sure if that's just Sunday night. Is that just Sunday night?
It's their biggest opening, I think, since 2010. The second biggest opening.
Yeah, second.
So I assume it was. I assume it is. Honestly, actually.
I know they mentioned somewhere where it's 40%, on average, 40% of the viewing numbers are from the night that it premieres, typically with HBO. But yeah, it is the second biggest debut on HBO behind House of the Dragon, which just got released last year, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. What do you think about it?
Yeah. They're definitely on a roll. I don't watch what's it called?
The Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I almost said House of Cards. No, Game of Thrones.
That was a long time ago.
That was a very long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, big numbers, big turnout. I expect that to only go up from here. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is getting a lot of buzz. Yeah. So very strong opening. Shout out to that. Another thing here that I thought was cool that they did was The Last of Us Part 1 now has a game trial available. So if you are a subscriber of the PlayStation Plus Premium tier, there's of course Essential, Extra, and Premium. You'll get access to a 2-hour-long trial of the newly released Last of Us Part 1 that just dropped in September, I think, of last year, October, something like that.
Yeah, roughly is when that came out.
So I know you mentioned you hadn't played it yet, so if you have Premium, that's the way to do that, you know what I'm saying? But highly recommend it, very, 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 obviously price and all that was a whole discussion, but I do think
eventually I'm gonna pick it up, because I've been watching clips of people have since this episode's drop, and I'm like, it looks dramatically different from because I played the PS4 version right after this episode, and I see other people's clips, and I'm like, wow, that looks dramatically different than what I played. So yeah, I will give it a shot soon.
Yeah, it's obviously you see the channel name. If you know me, obviously I'm big on PlayStation, obviously, right? But I really do think that Part 1, in spite of its price, in spite of however you want to say it, whatever you want to put up against it, it is a much better much better looking game, much better running game. I feel like personally,
Better
like
presentation overall.
way better. Like I just feel like you get so much more out of that part one. Like that's why I would specifically advise people, hey, like yeah, Last of Us Remastered is available on the Plus collection.
Yes.
You know, so that's gonna be the cheaper entry. But if you can play part one, I recommend part one. It's really, really, really good. Yeah. Last one here, a little bit of a really cool thing here that I read up before we even started. This came out like an hour, I think, before we even started recording. But we got when that episode one, what we just saw and what we were about to talk about, was originally 2 episodes. So thanks to HBO's The Last of Us podcast, it was revealed by Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin that the first episode is actually a combination of 2 episodes that were written together. The first episode would have ended with the 20 years later splash screen, which, damn it, that would have been such a cool. I would like to just have it to have the death of Sarah be the end of episode 1. But I do overall like this meaty premiere, right? Like I think you get a lot out of this premiere. I think it's almost akin to like a mini movie, low key, in some ways. So what do you think, Mario? Like, do you feel like they made a good step on combining these two? Do you think it would be cool to have a different reality where they're 2 different episodes? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, no. I think the presentation of where we left off in this show, where we began and where we ended, is honestly the perfect introduction for people who've never played this game, people who've never experienced The Last of Us, which there are quite a few. I actually got to talk to my coworkers and was like, hey, did you check this out? And they're like, no, but I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what is it like? Because so they have no recollection of what the games are. So I'm excited for them to experience this, because I think this is a good starting point for like, hey, this is what it's all about, and now this is what the journey that we're going to go on, which is, of course, is this cross-country sort of trip. Overall, I did hear though that I think because I actually listened to that companion podcast.
Okay,
but
cool.
Do you know who's do you know who it's hosted by? Troy Baker. It's hosted by Troy Baker.
What a
What a someone stop giving that man jobs.
Man, what a good looking guy. I tell you what, I'm saying.
Good looking pal. There's some other good insights in that show that I'll talk about later when we go about. But the one thing they did say though is that it would have ended by the 20-year mark, but it was supposed to end actually, which we'll get into, is when Joel drops that body in the fire. And that would have been the transition point to the next episode, which they just basically said like, hey, 2 potentially dead kids in an episode is too much. But
I see. And like, as I was, as you were explaining, right? Like, I think another good reason, right, is that like, it's easy for people that play games, right, to like, understand the investment of like, hey, this is going to be a 20-hour game, 25-hour game, right? When you're having an episodic series that is separated by weeks, I feel like if someone just saw in a cutoff to that scene of Joel putting in that dead body, right? Like, I could see people being like, like this seems like a lot, or this seems like too much, or this seems gratuitous, and like, it maybe they wouldn't see the full point of like what The Last of Us truly is if they don't have off the rip that this is a story about Joel and Ellie. You know what I'm saying? So in that context, I think it makes sense.
In that context, Ellie wouldn't be there. Like,
like Ellie wouldn't. Right. Ellie wouldn't have been there at all. Yeah, that's so. As much as I love that intro to Last of Us, we still got it.
Yeah, we did.
We still definitely got it. We definitely got it. We definitely got it, and like they were still able to, I think, add the full context to what the future of the show is gonna be. So that's a good point. Yeah. Good point. Good points are on. Also, of course, we're the Bear Last of Us podcast, but Troy Baker, call me Corey Cooker. You know what I'm saying? What's up? I'm your boy Corey Cook. I don't know why I said that, but so I'm making the show here.
Someone make that a t-shirt. Just Kevin is. I'm Corey Cooker.
I'm Corey Cooker, man. The Corey Cooker, man. Let's get it.
Oh my god.
Episode 1, the last HBO series. Do you want? I mean, Mario, I just want to hear what would you have told me if you were to swap out the gift that you sent me on Sunday night. What would have been your actual things that you told me if I had watched that episode Sunday night? What do we got?
I would have said, I basically would have just sent the gif of him holding Sarah. Like, I think that would have been it. Because they did the thing. They did it like almost pitch perfect with added stuff to it that gave you just enough context. But at the same time, the way that they presented it, the way that they've actually illustrated it on the screen and how they told the story, oh my God. We'll definitely get into it momentarily. But yeah, I would immediately send like, they did the fucking thing. And now here we go. Um, yeah. Yeah, man. I'm still kind of freaking out by it, to be honest with you.
I um I had to watch this episode in two sittings. Partly because I had to go to work. So I literally landed Monday, did grocery shopping for the week, able to sit down, watch Last of Us, realize I'm not gonna have to, I didn't realize it was an hour and a half long. Maybe I forgot. I don't know. But I was like, oh man, like let me just at least watch at least an hour of it. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever.
Yes.
So I voluntarily stopped with the death of Sarah and they get a 20-year jump, right? That's where I started from my first sitting. I can't believe that after all this time, right? After how many years we've had this story, how many times we've played this game, whether it's the original Last of Us in 2013, the remaster in 2014, if you just played it in October or September, whenever it came out with Last of Us Part 1, the amount of times that we've replayed it for Part 2 as well, like, and for this show to still make me cry, like I'm just like, and it was moving. That intro, like seeing it acted out, like it was incredible. It was really incredible. It was I really couldn't believe it. Like I was tensing up and seeing that like I know what's coming. You know
Like,
what I'm saying?
I know what's coming, but
And
like, I don't want it to happen.
I just feel like they did such a good job at still being able to, you know, put us right back into those moments that we experienced in the game. And like I think they really did nail it. Like it's one thing to like, you know, see something acted out from a game in real life, but like I just feel like they were able to just do a really good job at just like really throwing you back into that scene, whether you're someone that has played the game a million times like us or you're brand new to the franchise. Like you still feel that same tense nature of the panic of
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal's performance, of them going through that town and going through Outbreak Day and all that. And like I was blown away. I was blown away. And then the second half as well, like there's just a lot of like really things that we'll talk about as we go through the episode, but like really cool things that they're adding to the lore that I know on episode 0 I was scared that it was gonna break lore. They do break lore in some ways, but I feel like it's subtle enough and there's proper context and reasoning that I think make it better for TV, right? That's where I'm at. So I really love this first episode. You know, I hope that we keep it up. I hope that this is going to be a consistent cadence throughout this series. You know, that's love to be determined, but good start. Very, very, very good start. Very good start. How do you feel about some of the contexts, things that they added, right? Like you mentioned some stuff. Does anything catch out to you? I have a few, but I definitely want to hear your take first, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely some things that I'm happy at least that the show added into certain character moments, or not even just character, but character building. One of the big standout things is actually on the vehicle in the beginning half where Tommy is driving, and they're getting away from the morning, and in the back of the car you see that he actually has like a military veteran sticker.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was very much implied in the video game that these were military men. I don't remember that, to be honest with you.
I have to dig because I have to dig. I'm pretty I think it was, but there's a solid chance that it wasn't. I feel like if that was the case, I feel like I don't want to like toot my own horn with it, but like I did a whole Last of Us iceberg and I did a lot of fucking research on Last of Us, and like I feel like that would be something that would stick out. Maybe. But that could also be new, you know, which I think that is one of the things that is a more sensical thing to add to the character, because I mean, I guess either way, it's like Joel. What what I was getting at was that Joel is very capable with weapons in Last of Us, right? And
Yes.
like that could be explained through the veteran background, but also could be explained because we have a 20-year gap. He's gonna learn. He's gonna obviously learn how to kill. Yeah. So
yeah,
I think either way is cool, but adding this thread of veterans cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and for both of them too, like Tommy as well. So basically, seeing that they also gone through a Gulf War, seeing that they have this knowledge that essentially they've been trained killers almost all their entire lives, but now they're in a situation where they're in an active war zone all the time now. And to see sort of like even the building up of like in the episode, you see Sarah goes into the drawer to get the money to pay for the watch.
Yeah.
And she finds that like knife specifically, which we'll probably end up seeing the knife many a times in this future. But yeah, just certain little hints to what possibly Tommy and Joel have done before Sarah was around. Now he's obviously a family man. He's doing the construction stuff, which is all from the game. If you remember from the first phone call conversation when he comes into the house, all those fun little things that I think added a lot of context. The almost confirmation that Tess and Joel were a couple, which is kind of left to interpretation. If you play the game, they're just very much these two, individuals that seem close. This definitely kind of hints more that there is something more there. That was also very nice. Some additional context, obviously, with stuff going on. Well, actually, not just context. Early drops of Left Behind content with the conversation with Marlene and Ellie, where they talk about Riley, like right off the bat, like establishing it. Because as much as we know Left Behind was very much added in after the fact when it was created. So they've had this sort of seeped in early as part of the actual full narrative I'm so happy for that.
Yeah, like I know in the original game, damn, does she bring up Riley at all? I think she does bring up Riley, like something with Joel.
She mentions a friend. She mentions a friend. I don't remember.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
I don't remember saying Riley. And also, we don't know anything about her military school background, none of that. But now that's all influenced, like right here.
Yeah.
So this is all the American Dream stuff. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So they do have like the American Dreams stuff as well, which is canon, of course. Obviously, goes back on the Ellie and all that. And Riley's in there too, yeah. You hit on a few things. I think one of my favorite changes that I'm seeing with this series is the decision to move it to 2003 when Outbreak Day happens, right?
I agree.
I think, and like I have a full video that I do want to make on this and why like I think it's a really good idea and why I think it's almost better than having it placed in 2013. When you think about 2013, smartphones are around. Twitter's popping, you know what I'm saying? Right?
Obama
was good. You know what I'm saying? All that, right? Like that's all going down in 2013, right? So like for an outbreak of the scale that we saw towards the end of the intro in the game, and for Joel and for Sarah to not get any really big like warning of like, hey, like something's going down in the city, right? Like Joel goes to work that day. He comes home, willy-nilly, whatever, and then like it's like a very sudden shift that I feel like if it were to really happen in a year post 2010 and on, really, right? Like when the rise of smartphones, it seems unrealistic for them like to not have any sense of that. Putting it in 2003 makes perfect sense for that, I feel like.
Yes.
For them to be caught off guard on that, So I thought that was a really good way to do that. Yeah.
No, I agree. And then also, I mean, Kevin, don't forget, this is only 2 years post 9/11, right? So this is also in a time frame where the misinformation of it, obviously internet was around. It's not as big as it is now. Twitter and YouTube is not big and prevalent here now either. But the fact that like the idea that like Sarah's actually immediate response in the car is like, is it terrorist?
I love that.
I love the context of it with the year of where it's going. It's like we don't know what's going on. We don't understand what is happening. And so that adds to this trouble. And obviously the system, like we're looking visually, we can see things going on behind the scenes, but there's things like with them looking at the screen and stuff like that and seeing that, just no service. So that to me makes more sense in the context of our Lord 2003.
Yeah. Damn. How old was I?
Sure.
I was 5. Actually,
I was 13. Damn.
I moved to Arizona in 2003. Nice.
Got you.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
actually, wait, you know what? In September 2003. No, I was in Arizona. Doesn't matter. Also within like like melding in 2003, like and the war and such and all that.
Mhm.
Seeing George Bush
George Bush
in the clouds,
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, okay, like
Yep.
right, yeah. There's
There's
like
a Gore Lieberman shirt later on where you see someone has a shirt that they've never left for 20 years. They still wear that shirt. It's
yeah,
good.
like it's yeah. There's probably like you just mentioned that, did not see that. There's probably like a ton of stuff that like I am not gonna pick up on.
Of course.
I'm glad someone that was 13 in 2003 will be able to fill me in. I was a wee
AOL.
lad.
No, I'm just kidding.
I say from from 2007 and on, I'm good, like solid.
But the fact that they're still
stuff.
talking about DVDs, and then the DVD on the back of it said, "Do you remember DVDs used to have two sides to them? There used to be they didn't have like a thing that was on the front of it. It was widescreen and full screen on both sides."
What?
Yeah, if you look at him open up the DVD, you'll see that it doesn't have like a front face. I think it's one of because on the DVDs they used to have full screen and they flip it over as widescreen because some people had widescreen TVs, some people had full screen TVs. It was a whole weird thing back in the day. Anyways, we're just talking about
I didn't
DVD
know that.
format.
Wait, that's kind of cool. Wait, that's kind of sick.
Because you would scratch your copy that is in full screen, but then you flip it over and you can still watch it in widescreen. Anyways, it's a lot that you can do. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, look at 2003. Not bad. Not. I think I can.
Now we're just gone
not
digital. No, not bad.
Yeah, I love the call out to like, is this an attack? Is this like a terrorist attack?
Yes.
Like, and that would probably make sense for Joel and Tommy, or at least Joel being a veteran. He would probably be. That'd be something that would probably probably be like a discussion with Sarah.
They actually mentioned it.
Yeah,
they actually mentioned it in the car. Actually, in the scene where you could see the blockade basically from the military, and they're talking about that. It's like, oh, they understand what they're doing, and so that's why they're trying to get around it. So like they have an idea already because they have that training. Yeah, that's what's really kind of interesting about that.
Pick up on that.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh, okay, cool. They know that they gotta go this way in order to avoid the blockade. It was like really all this additional like so little cool character stuff that they've added just to make the world better and to tell the same story. It's just genius. I mean, my favorite, biggest like contextual, at least a different change that they've made is the journey as to which Tess and Joel are going about their plot.
Yeah,
if you remember,
very different.
Very different. We'll get there. I'll follow whatever format. But yeah, there's a lot going on with the show.
Yeah. No, so I mean, you can bring it up now. I think
right now?
We're just gonna freestyle. Yeah. I say for
freestyle this.
I don't think we'll go beat to beat. I think we'll just we'll just conversate. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, if I'm not mistaken, in the game, she gets they were trying to find guns or something, some sort of like supplies that is being held up by Robert.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And basically, they go to Robert to go kick his ass. They kick his ass. At the same time, they bump in the Tess, which got into a firefight, right? That's the plot of the video game. But the plot in this TV show is that Tommy has been MIA for like 3 weeks or something. It's been the longest period of time in which they haven't had contact with him. And so their whole purpose is to find a battery so they can go travel out. At the same time, they're doing this thing for the Fireflies. So it just, in context of like how they naturally come together, those two storylines, just makes so much more sense in the show and makes it such a streamlined experience when it then goes into they're going west anyways.
Yeah, that's a giant change. Yeah, because like in the original game, like Joel's main motivation, for going west was the death wish that Tess told Joel, like, hey, like do this. If I meant anything to you, do this for me. Take her west. So it's cool to see like. I just love seeing like this similar story that I presume is gonna follow the similar beats, but have different character motivations and stuff like that. Yeah, like I think it's really cool to like have like a bit of a remix, but still kind of tell that same story. Like it's gonna be very neat. There was something. I wanted to bring up shit. What was it? I really like that. Wait, do I know what I'm saying? I think I forgot what I was saying. I had something. I swear I had something.
Nah, that's fine. You'll get back to it.
Yeah.
overall, like continuing with like just the beginning half of this episode, like even now spending more time with Sarah, I think was such a smart idea of having the context of her getting the gift for her father, the way that she goes about it, going into the city, which was actually fun. The little hints throughout the episode that we got with the twitching and with the outbreak, because there's the moment where she's in school
and there's
the guy cough, but then there's a guy with his watch. He's twitching, and he's just doing it in a weird way. And then the light keeps like flickering. Like it's such a like subtle thing, but it's something saying like it's almost like saying like, is that guy infected?
Yeah.
Then she goes to the city, and then they do that whole thing. So when they're in the car, they have that conversation. And the conversation is like, it's mostly people in the city. It's blah 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 blah. Like, oh, is Sarah infected? Like, that's the fear. That I love that they at least approach that they don't get to explore, obviously, in the video game.
Yeah, that. Like, I just love how these changes that they've made, they're subtle, but there's a lot of backing and reasoning to it that like echoes throughout this whole episode that like I think is a really, really cool thing. Including like the first time we really have ever seen in Last of Us, we see a bit of a human start to become infected, right? With I forgot Mrs. Adler, I guess, the grandma in the Adler estate. Yeah. I was saying like it's cool that like we were like first seeing what's it called? A human begin to actually
1 second.
Start to be infected.
I don't know where it's coming from. Give me 1 second. Take a look at this. Keep riffing.
Okay, bet. Yeah, like I just think that's really cool to be able to see, someone actually become infected and begin to start to become infected with that Adler scene. Thought was super cool. There was something else that tied to a change that I wanted to bring up to Mario. I'm gonna try to see if I can remember it, guys. It's just me and you now. All right. There was something, I think it involved 2003. I'm trying to remember. I think it was something that was later on. I really forgot. Man, I forgot. I just really like this show.
No, that's fine. Sorry about that. We were being invaded by Tim Geddes and Nick Scarpino because they were playing randomly on my iPad for no reason.
Look at that. Yeah.
They also got their own Last of Us breakdown show. You know what? Stay off of ours. Okay?
That's what I'm saying.
Stay off of ours.
That's what I'm saying.
Cast of Us, stay away from us.
The Cast of Us. More like the
Trophy Room. Probably going to be talking about it.
More like the Trash of Us.
Hey.
Got him, Dude, I'm still trying to remember this change that. Hold on. I want to see if I wrote it down because it's like bothering me, bro. I know there was a change that. Okay. Oh, I mean, I do think it's okay. I have it. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was this, but I have one. The decision to change the origin of Joel's watch, I think, is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. In the game, Sarah just gets it for him. Right. And like that's where it is. So like every time we get a scene with the watch and like Joel does something with the watch in the game, I feel like it's a more direct callback to Sarah. In the show, It seems like it's a watch that he's already had before, right?
Yes.
But he still has like a bit of a moment where like Sarah's explaining that, oh, you weren't gonna fix it, so I just did it for you. I feel like there's a sentimental connection to that watch still.
Yes.
That's deeper than just like a watch, that they're gonna connect that watch to someone else, and that someone else is, I think, the big question. I think it could be Sarah's mom, could be Joel's wife, right? We only know very little about the mother of Sarah and all that, which from the game we know through a conversation with Ellie that Joel got pregnant. Well, not Joel got pregnant. Joel impregnated his girlfriend, who was in college, and Joel never took the college route. He says so maybe he was in the military. And maybe that just never explained, but maybe that's that way in because he says he did not go to college. But we know something happened between them two, or she died or something like that. that we don't get the full explanation in the game. So if we get it in the show, that'll be cool. But I think that might tie into this too. I think that might also tie to the Switchblade. But you bring up a good but you bring up a good point that like maybe that Switchblade could be from his combat tours, you know, as a veteran. Maybe that could be it. I do think it's cool that I hope Ellie still has her Switchblade.
Well, she uses it in this episode, so she definitely tries to stab Joel with it, and he just chunks her to the wall.
That was
really funny.
Like, damn, I was like, okay, bro, shit.
Yeah,
that was a hard one.
There's so many TikToks already that are just him just totally just chucking her into the floor. It's just so funny.
It was aggressive. It was very aggressive, which is similar to how they meet in the game. Ellie tries to attack him, exact same way.
Very much so.
It works out. What else? Yeah, I mean, pretty much for Outbreak Day, like it pretty much plays out. Oh, interesting thing, Tommy ends up in jail. Doesn't happen in the first game. Yeah, I thought that was I was like, okay.
No, but I do like that as a reason why he had to leave.
Yes.
And why he has to be removed from the thing is that Tommy, it sounds like he was being profiled from the call, and then he got in a fight in a bar or something like that.
Yeah.
And then so Joel ends up having to go bail him out, and that pulls him away. Is that not what happened?
I mean, how I took it was that in the news report, right before Joel comes in from work, the newscaster talks about multiple violent fights happening throughout the city. So I was thinking, okay, maybe is that because people are becoming runners, or they're becoming infected? So did Tommy fight an infected and not know that he was infected? Maybe that's a little bit of a far reach, but like newscaster.
I'm looking at the scene right now.
Yeah,
and it actually said that a man came swinging at a waitress.
Yeah, yeah. You see, so
that
like
is interesting.
I think that person was infected. Maybe like that's what I was
fascinating.
Thinking. And then maybe Tommy just didn't realize it. Yeah, but you're right. In the game, it's kind of weird because
he's gone.
They're watching the movie. Joel puts Sarah to bed, and then he's just gone. And so we see him shoot Adler,
Jimmy in the game, which by the way, which is hilarious. The way that those are funny little changes, by the way. Did you notice that?
No.
So I played I played right after the episode ended. I played the game, just the first, to basically the first hour.
Right.
And in the person that busts, so in the game, Sarah is in there. Joel shows up because he apparently was in the yard, I guess.
He's in the backyard, for some reason,
something like that. And then Jimmy, is a guy named Jimmy, busts through the doorway, which is presumably their neighbor. He then puts a cap in that, and that's what this is. In this version, it's Adler, the old lady, is the one that he takes out, and Sarah sees, right?
Right.
The burning house in the game is Lewis.
Right.
The burning house in this is Jimmy. So they changed the name. So it's so weird.
Okay.
It's such a weird, like, alternate universe-y version of like, this is exactly, but not exactly. So I'm curious of why those changes were made in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's subtle enough where it's just like, what is going on? But yeah, if I click over here, because I have it zipped here, you can also see it. But anyways, but yeah, it's such weird little changes. But I like that. I still like that. There. Okay. Now that we're talking about the changes, what were your thoughts on the lady? Our first clicker our first like infected person.
I don't know how I'm feeling about the little tentacle joints out the mouth.
That's definitely our first indication of the tentacles.
Yeah, I don't know. Tendrils. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. At first, I thought it was hair.
It does look a little weird.
I thought she was eating like a scalp or something like that, So yeah, that was okay. That was interesting. I do feel like it was still effective, and so okay, like definitely infected. The one that got me was was the one that was chasing Joel and Sarah in the town, and he's like full on sprinting in the store and like jumping, like running into a full on sprint into like things in the store. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was like he's full sprint 100%, like straight up.
Yeah.
Like I thought 100%. That was really cool. Yeah, but interesting on that. What were the green flares Can you help me with that? I don't know what that is.
That was the electricity. That's the electricity is for some reason is popping out. I'm not sure why.
Okay.
Because a lot of stuff, a lot of infrastructure since basically starts going down, right? The green lights of the infrastructure, I assume that must be something going with the power plants. But then obviously the planes coming down too.
Yes.
So it's definitely becoming way more widespread. But yeah, the green light is essentially, I'm assuming it's the power. Power's going.
Okay.
on.
Okay. Yeah. Because we still got like, because one of my favorite aspects of The Last of Us intro in the game is seeing that big explosion on the news and then out the window.
Correct.
We don't get that, but we do get a big ass explosion through that 747 crashing down, which is still like,
yes,
dude, like that,
which
seems insane.
They faked this out. They faked this out because remember in the game, it's a car that crushes them and like knocks them over. They tease it.
Yeah, but then I like that.
They teased it and then like, nope, it's a plane.
I do like how they tease that. I do think it's cool that once again, like similar outcome, different way they got to it, where Joel and Tommy get separated through a car crash that happens when they're out of the car.
Way better. It's way better
I like that because in the game Tommy just does
evil too.
In the game Tommy just does like
he's holding the door.
I'm gonna hold you guys back. Go. Like yeah. That's cool stuff. I love that pretty much beat for beat we get the scene with I'm not sure. I guess military man. Yeah. Military man and that whole thing, and that's pretty much one for one. Which, like we said earlier, like it's heavy. It's heavy.
It's heavy. I love the coloring of the scene is such a different look than it is in the game. The game is more blue. In this, it's more of a orangey huer tones because Texas makes sense. Fire makes sense. But the other change I actually liked, and it's kind of like a semi tie-in, not necessarily a tie-in to part 2, but Tommy rescues Joel.
Right.
In both the game and this. In the game, he uses a pistol. In this, he uses his rifle that he also has in 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Or at least we know that he has rifle training, at the very least. So that is a cool nice little change that they did there.
Indeed.
But
Indeed. I remember one of the big changes. I think if they came back to me, it does involve Tommy.
Yeah.
I wonder how, or wonder why they're changing Tommy and Joel not talking, because in the game Joel's really hesitant to go to Tommy because they haven't spoken in X amount of years or however long it's been. It's been like a longer time, and it's like a voluntary, like they don't talk anymore. Like something happened during the 20-year gap. Tommy makes some lines about, hey, like it was some dark shit that you made me do. And here it seems like they were in constant contact. So now I have questions as to why is Tommy and why? I mean, maybe Tommy's still with the Fireflies. Like maybe that could still be it, right? I mean, it's just weird. Yeah, like I'm just wondering how that's gonna unfold with them.
Yeah, how it's gonna play out.
Yeah. That I'm also curious too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious as to that because it does add a little difference because ultimately Tommy went on his own and then sort of like in control of his own colony in a lot of ways, if we could say that. And so I'm curious how that's gonna reflect in this. Do you avoid trailers for future episode stuff?
I think I saw a little bit of this one, but feel free to let me. Yeah, go ahead.
There's definitely a shot of Tommy we see later.
Okay.
And it looks very close to, I'll say 2. But there is a colony, I assume.
Right.
That's as far as I'll say. But that's why I'm wondering, like, how is that established? How's that's going to be continuous to this story? It does sound like Tommy did have some ties to the Fireflies because they mentioned that during the Marlene scene. So there's definitely some connection there. But I'm curious. Hopefully the show is going to have time to facilitate and tell us more of that story. And when we get Tommy, whenever we do get him, I assume much later in the season, it'll be worth it for sure.
Indeed. I'm trying to focus on stuff now that's like after the 20-year gap, like any big change.
We can start. Just focusing on that. Because I mean, we get to spend time with other characters that are not just Joel. which is nice, right? We get to see Tess before they go on that quest to basically to kill Robert or beat Robert, whatever they decide to do. Yeah. And she has this like discussions like Robert's almost more scared of Joel than anything, which is a great payoff to what we get later in the episode, which I find fascinating. So spending more time with Tess in this show is actually interesting, I think, in my opinion.
You don't find her that intriguing in the game?
But no, I like Tess, but she's very quick, right? It's just like she helps us get through the plot. She is the reason why, like, you know, please take her. But I am enjoying the fact that we're gonna have more context of what the relationship is with Joel, and that will hopefully put more ties into why I should care about this person. I love the actress, by the way. The actress was on a show I used to watch called Fringe. So I'm happy that she's still doing some really great things. I think she's a great Tess. Actually, like the actor who played Robert, he was in I think he's been in a few things.
I did recognize him. Yeah.
Like Disney Channel shit. So
something like
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
Something like that. But no, it's those things. Oh, and let's just talk about Marlene for a second, because holy hell, God, walked right in from the video game. It's right really, into this reality.
It's really like, oh shit. Like, oh shit. Like, no, that's really Marlene. Yes. Like, for real.
That's really Marlene, which is crazy. So if for audience, if you're not playing the video game, it's the same actress playing the character that they created 10 years ago. So
and I think another change we have here with Marlene, actually. Marlene reveals to Ellie that she knew, or she dropped off Ellie at
She's the one military. That dropped off
So which I don't think sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're right.
So like, I don't think it's said in the show that she knows Ellie's mom yet.
So,
right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
No, it's never said in this episode, but that's because we cut away from them, if you remember. And they're having a longer conversation, I'm assuming, after we leave them in the show's context.
Okay.
Because clearly, because it's how we find them in the video game, they kind of already had this conversation. This sort of led into them talking for the first time and talking about Riley, talking about all this stuff. But I assume that when we cut away to go back to Joel, I think is what we end up doing. She's telling him like, hey, you're actually kind of special, and we need to take you to go out west, and we need to do all these things. Also, I might have known your mom. I assume that's in that call. We'll find out more as they go along, obviously, because somehow we're going to have Ashley Johnson flashback, and I don't know how we're going to get there unless there's, that's literally the last episode. I have no clue how they're going to do that.
The only way I see it is that in the Last of Us game, Ellie has a letter from her mom that was written to her in her final moments of life, right?
Yeah.
And in the show, Marlene gives Ellie her backpack, right?
Yes.
So if once again, the show is rearranging and changing a lot of different things in subtle ways. If that letter's still in there, maybe that's our way in. But then I'm like, would it be in there if Marlene hasn't? If we don't know that Marlene has disclosed that she knew Ellie's mom? You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure how it's all gonna fit. But I hope it's something like, Ellie's reading the letter, and then that takes us back to Ellie's mom, Anna. And we see that all pan through.
Correct.
Also, what we're watching here is some fucked up shit. This is some fucked up shit.
Yeah, why do they do this to us?
YouTube,
this is not in the game.
YouTube. I'm 40 minutes in. I can say fuck. All right. And not demonetized, all right? Okay, I'm 40 minutes in, all right? But yeah, this is brutal, and like, I love that, like, this is, again, I'm sure, do you remember in the first game when you get to Boston and you're able to see that side thing happen where agents are lining up people, and then one of them is infected and they just kill them on sight? Like it's brutal. So to see that here. Also, I love that it's still the same detector from the game. I love that. I just love that equipment. It just looks so fucking cool. I love it. It looks so cool.
And it just for some reason looks chunkier for some reason now, with the context of like it's only been like 10 years versus like 20 years. So
And I'm assuming a lot of this technology to detect if you're infected, right, happened in the early times
Yeah,
of the
2000s.
pandemic. So it would be like a 2000 like it looks like a 2003 like bulky ass like tech
That's
thing.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I think
Like
that's
Motorola
all that
made
was
it.
cool. Yeah, yeah, like yeah. I thought
No,
that
for
was really
sure.
cool. We have a change in Joel's role here too, actually, in the 20 years. Like
Yeah.
he's not really a smuggler.
No,
I mean, like
in
he
a lot of
kind of
ways,
is a little bit. Like it's kind of like a
we're a
side
drug
gig.
dealer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess he's
Yeah.
smuggling narcotics and drugs. Yeah. Which I
Yeah.
love. That's how he's like cutting deal with federal agents. I actually like that a lot. And like he's because
Yes.
like he's like trying to get a car, and then you see that okay, he needs the battery from Tess, and say okay, like and say oh, it's because you're trying to get to Tommy. Like okay, because he hasn't contact. Like I like how they slowly like reveal what Joel is doing early on in this show. Post the 20 years, yeah.
I don't know if it was the Last of Us Troy Baker podcast or if it was the Kind of Funny one that I watched today, but the one thing that I won't talk about, and we'll talk about more, I guess. Well, we can talk about it now. The mirroring of the end of the episode to the part of the episode with Sarah being killed is he is holding Sarah in his arms and he's being threatened. And he doesn't have the wherewithal to make the action of trying to stop it. And he gets, he ends up trying to run away and he gets shot, right? In this version, in the end half of this, where it's the federal agent that he knows that he could potentially talk to, and maybe calm the situation down, he doesn't fucking blink an eye and runs and beats that man to death.
Yeah.
Does not stop. And I thought that was actually an interesting thing how to pull. It's just like, yeah, he actually has a relationship with this person in some aspect, even if it's might be, like sort of an exchange of some sort. Very much so though. Like the moment he got put in that same situation that he got put in 20 years ago, he did not miss. He made sure that he did actually handle it. And I loved that mirroring of those two scenes, which I didn't get in the original game because it's not very much approached that way. Like the scenes in the game where they're getting scanned, and that sort of begins the reveal of like, Ellie's actually infected. But the way that they did it on a television basis and how they used the flashback in that scene too, like, oh my god, just that's what movies are about. So yeah, absolutely,
very, 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 very cool. Love the aesthetic of Boston here. We've seen these in the trailers, but like it looks like really cool. Also, I love little things where when we see Tess and the Fireflies, right, and they're like doing their little deal, that explosion mimics the beginning of Last of Us when the Fireflies blow up a Jeep as well, and then you go out and you see Tess sees the Jeep exploded, and it's like like fans of the game like no, okay, right, like this is some Fireflies like doing their stuff. Very, very, very cool. Very cool.
You brought up the scene in the game, which makes sense in the game context because you're moving Joel around and you're sort of experiencing it through his eyes, where the people are sort of going through the line and checking if they're infected. Turns out they are. And then it's like kind of a huge, really messed up massacre. In the game, that absolutely makes context. I do like that in this show they have the hanging stuff where they're at least showing the martial law of it all. Of like, hey, if you do this, you do that. You broke our rules that we established as a military force. The answer is death. And so I like that the juxtaposition of how you can basically go about it being a interactive medium versus telling the story. And now I understand how effed up the federal kind of angle of it is. I do find that fascinating and how like, maybe in some context I would root for the Fireflies, even if they're just, seem disorganized.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Even Marlene has a line where it's like we're finding a military like government or whatever she says like
fascist retreat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like it's like oh right. Yeah, like it's just cool to have that stroke in this show.
Yes.
Definitely. Love. There was something I think during this scene here that the federal agent says that I think that caught my attention. I forgot what exactly it was. Maybe he'll say it here pretty soon. But I do like the notion of Joel making deals and cutting deals with federal agents and all that, and like he's kind of like he takes jobs from them to get rations while also cutting deals while also like so. Yeah, so he's just playing like a bunch of different roles in this, as opposed to just being kind of like a smuggler
He's playing the game on all the sides for the most part, right? Because at this point he's dealing with this Fedra agent. He's basically trying to get these pills that he can then use to sell for other purposes. Because we see him use that to talk to I think his name is Percy or Perry, who's like the sort of operator person. That's where we learned that Tommy has been in communication for the last 3 weeks or so. Which, by the way, played by, I think we mentioned it here, played by Tommy from the video game, which is also incredible. But yeah, I do find it that there's definitely some interactions and exchanges that have to be made, and him having the rations is also part of like him buying the battery, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah.
So, So
I love that also like the reason why the Fedra agent is buying these drugs. He like calls him Hydro
or Oxy, isn't it? Here, let's check it out.
I thought he's because
No, you're right. I
think it's Hydro, right? Yeah, Hydro. Which I was gonna ask my mom before I went on, like, hey mom, like, is there a drug called Hydro that makes you drowsy? Because like he says like he like wants it for sleep, and then later we see Joel take it with his whiskey while they're playing the Factions music. Yo,
yes,
let's go.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. It was Factions.
It's Factions. It's Factions music. I was like, let's go, boys. Like we're back. Yes, sir. This is. I can't believe the most we've gotten the Factions in years. This is a show, and we have a fucking standalone game coming soon. Like, fuck. Like,
oh my god, I recognize that music from anywhere.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I was like,
lobbying up.
I love it. Oh yes, dude. Listen, man.
Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about the music for a second.
Bro.
Holy shit. Fucking Halo can barely get a theme song out.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. I am not a fan of Halo. Never played the Halo.
Sure.
Never. Yes. I heard things really bad about the show that like didn't say. Yeah. Please enlighten us. Please. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, the Halo show is not the greatest. I do enjoy it for the new aspects of it, but at the same time, they have one of the most iconic themes of all time, and they have multiple games that they could pull sound from, and they sparingly use that famous theme of the like ding ding, like the Halo theme song. It's in the opening credits of the show, but it's so small and subtle, not the actual full bombastic. You don't get that until like later on in the series. But even so, it's just so all this like generic space music. When this show is like, no, we got Gustavo, and we're gonna fucking Gustavo's gonna be in his Duffy.
Hell yeah,
they use him every step of the way. The music and the theme song. Oh my god, the opening credits. Let's talk about that for a second. You said you're not a Game of Thrones person. This was just a Game of Thrones opening credits, but the way that they described the world of this, like, the America just being covered in fungus, fucking genius.
How did we miss the actual intro to the show? Can we pause that for a second?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right. How the show how it started too.
Yeah. I really love the way this show opens because it's very meta, right? So for those that don't know, Neil Druckmann was watching Planet Earth documentary, right? And he learned about the cordyceps like fungal virus that affects real ants, and it takes over the ants' bodies and all that, whatever. It's exactly what the scientist is explaining. I think maybe some things are kind of tweaked, but like ultimately, like it's the same basic concept. And Neil has said that like that birthed the idea for Last of Us because he thought, okay, what if humans, were to be infected by something like this, by the fungal cordyceps virus, right?
Cordyceps virus, yes.
And so the scientist is making that same point, and then we kick off the Last of Us. Like I think that's such a cool way, to like have that arranged. Like I just really like that opening new scene. Because
remember, if you remember episode 0, we were like thrown over.
Yeah, I was like, what? 60.
What are you talking about?
60 talk show. What are you talking about? But now I see, like, it makes sense. Yeah, maybe. Wait a minute. No, I want to do some math. Does it make sense for Joel to be alive watching that broadcast? Probably not, because they say because Joel said 36. That. Joel said no, isn't it? Isn't he 32?
I thought he said 36.
That was another change. I actually noted it. Yeah, Joel said that he's 32, I believe. You're looking right now to check.
Yeah.
So if he's 32 in the year 2003, I have to do some math. God damn it. 2003 minus 1968. Fuck is that? 2003 minus 1968. It's gonna be 35. So no, he wouldn't have been born by then, huh?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. I love that Avril Lavigne's playing at the beginning of the show. That's good. That's good, actually. Shout outs for the costume design on Sarah, because that's the same exact shirt. For the
Same
game.
exact shirt.
That
Same exact shirt.
That was same.
Also,
exact shirt,
I don't know if you saw this making the rounds on Twitter. Joel's birthday card is in her room in the show.
That's so cool.
With the green dinosaur. Yeah, it's there. Yeah. It's right there. Yeah, like I was like, that's a good touch. I'm
gonna be eyeballing that later.
It's a very quick shot. It's like the wide shot of her room. Another quick note, because I was starting to do a full breakdown, then I realized, Kev, I don't know if you can manage an hour and a half long breakdown and like keep sanity. So we're gonna change that.
Yeah.
But I like that in Joel's room, there's a similar painting of like a deer in like a landscape type thing. I think in the show it's like summertime, but in the game it's winter.
Oh, okay.
Not sure if that means really anything. Maybe that's just like a little nod, but they have a similar thing. He does have his exercise equipment still in his room in the show, like it is in the game and everything. So that's all 1-to-1.
The guitar's there, the soccer ball's there. Like, actually, one thing I'm showing you on the screen, people, if you go back and watch the episode, Sarah's sleeping in her bed. In her bed, she has this, her bed sheets are butterflies.
Nice.
But if you remember, later in the episode, when these guys are waiting here, right next to Ellie, if it shows here in just a second, cutting for time because show. I can try to. Oh my god, show it right there. It's right in front of her. I like that. It's also right next to her. So I like that little subtle touch of just sort of like them opening up to each other. Is like, okay, I like there's some connection there. I see what you're doing, Craig.
Yeah,
I see what you're doing.
There's also like so many scenes. There's too many to name, but like there's so many scenes also in this show that like match 1-to-1 with the game too. Like this scene right here where Ellie says your watch is broken, like all that, like same from the game and everything.
Killing time.
Yep. Good stuff.
Oh, shout out to drugs, hardcore drugs. They fucking nailed it.
You gotta keep the line. Yeah, you gotta keep it.
I freaked out,
dude. I thought of you exactly. I was like, I know he was saying that he says it a lot to his friends. Like that's fire. The fire has
drugs, hardcore drugs.
Love it. You gotta love it.
Oh my
God.
Love it.
You gotta love it.
Yes.
Did we get anything about Ellie? So this is actually my first time seeing Bella Ramsey act.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For the most part, I felt convinced. I thought for the most part it was definitely. I feel like there was some writing with her talking to Marlene that I wasn't getting an Ellie vibe at some points. I won't say that for the whole performance. I do think that like she's so far doing a good job at being Ellie. I just think there were just some lines where I'm like, I don't know if Ellie would say that. Once again, who am I to claim that Ellie would say that? I didn't write Last of Us. It is what it is. Neil's involved, so I feel like, there's gonna be a lot of things that we got to take into context that like Neil directly is involved in this show. You know what I'm saying? So there is that, right? But I just feel like some of the Marlene conversations with Ellie didn't really mesh with me. But other than that, I thought she did a really good job at Ellie so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. Personally, I think that. So I know Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones.
Cool.
That's her first appearance for me. She was a little girl on that show, but she commanded men in that show. She was like an absolute force to be reckoned with, even at that little of an age. So I'm ultimately excited for her Ellie. Right off the bat, we get her swearing so many times and just being a total menace. And I do enjoy that. Almost, I think someone described her as feral. And I think that is actually a good way to describe her as a sort of this sort of menace. Like we'll be able to react to anything. So with her in collaboration with Joel going forward is going to be fun. Very excited about that. But yeah, no, overall, I'm excited to see what Bella Ramsey does with this character and makes it her own, because if I'm not mistaken, they didn't necessarily play these games. They played them, but I think they at least in depth as we would know
Yeah.
them. And so they are allowed to then make their own interpretations of these characters.
Right.
Specifically, the scene is very different than the one that's in the game when it comes to, him like wasting time, just the delivery. It's just a little different. But ultimately, it still captures the same emotion and ballad. What do you think about the music, his connection with Frank and oh my God, why am I blanking on the name? It's a big part of the thing. Frank and
Bill.
Billstown. Yes, Bill. Sort of being like this ominous thing about the music. I thought that was actually interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I just want to see Frank and Bill so bad because like that's one of the big things like I really want from the show and like what we're gonna get, hopefully soon. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be like dedicated episodes. Like I wouldn't be shocked if like one of the weeks it's just Bill and Frank, and it's just, like I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe not just them, but like I think they will have big portions dedicated.
I'm excited for it because, by the way, they kind of have rumored that some of the episodes are longer than others. There is another 80-minute episode coming.
Nice.
And it's not the finale, which is great. So we're actually going to get hopefully relatively soon.
Yeah. I know they announced this episode 2 is like 55 minutes, I think. So
yeah, it's 55, and then I think upcoming. I don't want to say which one. But yeah, that next one's directed by Neil Druckmann too.
Very excited. And it seems
we already know.
Yeah,
we already know it's gonna happen at the museum. Like we already know.
I'm excited that he's gonna. Yeah, like a very gameplay oriented. Like your first times in the game, like encountering clickers and learning about clickers and infected and like what I'm saying, like a real so I think it's really cool that he's gonna be doing that episode. One addition to Ellie that is I feel extremely important. I do want to ask you before I go on this because I gotta make sure I know. I'm pretty sure I know who I'm talking to, Mario. Right?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy The Last of Us Part 2, Mario? Do you like it?
I do enjoy The Last of Us Part 2. I actually have the statue right there.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect.
Very much a fan of I'm a fan of the entire series.
Very good. As you should. Yeah, because Part 2.
There's
a little bit.
There's a set of the internet not happy.
There's them and there's us.
First of all, and I'll drop this fact now. Because of The Last of Us Part 2 is the reason why we got this show. This is why. Dinah, right? Played by Shannon Wood. Dina, I'm sorry. Dina. I go from the
like
Black Canary. Dinah is like the Black Canary pronunciation of it. Her name's like Dinah Lance.
Gotcha.
Dinah. The actress that plays is Shannon Woodward.
Right.
She was an actress on Westworld. She knows Craig Mazin. She introduced Craig Mazin to Neil Druckmann.
We just love that,
And then they came on the set and they broke the scripts down during Last of Us Part 2. Nice. So without fucking Last of Us Part 2, we ain't getting goddamn the show. So
we love it. I did not know that. That's cool. But
that's revealed in the podcast that they talk about the show. So definitely worth listening to.
Of course,
not our podcast.
Yes, ours first, and then theirs, perhaps. You know what I'm saying?
Then theirs,
we'll do that.
If you want actual insight on shit.
But I bring up Part 2 because one of my favorite additions, I think, in this show, which there's so many already, but like one that I think is very specific to Part 2 is something that you don't really get that much really at all in the first Last of Us, but you see the echoes of it in Part 2 very prominently, is the way Ellie reacts to Joel beating the shit out of that Fedra agent at the end of the episode, right? Mm-hmm. You see this like very uncomfortable, like almost like idolization of like Joel beating this man, and like it's like something that like Ellie's going off game knowledge, I'm saying, well, not how it is in the show, but like obviously Ellie's seen some shit, right? She was in the military school, all of that, so we know she's seen some shit, but like the way I personally read it, like I don't know if Ellie's ever seen something like that because of a protection sake for her, right?
Yeah.
You get what I'm getting at? So like I think and like ultimately like what part 2 does a lot, I think, in very like subtle ways, and I think the underlying point of part 2, which I think a lot of people just didn't get or didn't pick up on, whatever, is that Ellie is so violent in part 2 because that's all she's really known, right?
Yeah.
She was born in this world, and you can connect the cyclical violent nature of Ellie in part 2 directly to Joel.
Yes.
You really can.
Yes.
You know, like 100%. So like seeing Ellie have that reaction, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
it
starts
these motherfuckers.
Young. It starts early.
I was like, oh, here we are. Like I think, I wholeheartedly think that if we had scenes like that in The Last of Us Part 1,
sure,
of Ellie really analyzing and having a bit of a positive response to the violence being shown by Joel, I don't think people would be as hard on part 2 as they are today.
I agree.
You know? And like, I think this show doing that, I think is kind of not like rewriting a wrong that Neil did. I mean, you know, it's not wrong, but it's highlighting something that I think is highlighted in part 2 that wasn't as highlighted in the original game. Yeah.
It's the strength of the medium now, right? Because we are pretty much, when you're playing The Last of Us, the first one, the part 1, you are seeing it through Joel's eyes, or you're playing it through Joel's eyes. You're experiencing things through his command. And then once you get that taken away from you, and then you're now experiencing under Ellie's eyes in you know, part 2. So with them sort of setting the tone and being able to have that perception switch, because we're not experiencing it through the characters anymore. We're experiencing the characters as they experience. We're experiencing Joel go through his flashback into beating the shit out of that Fedra agent. We're also experiencing it from Ellie's point of view of like, oh, this person could potentially protect me and I feel safe with this person. Or this person is, you know, willing to do this to save my life or something like that. You know, like what that will lead to the future of this series, which, you know, we're getting at least 2 seasons, maybe a 3rd season. Yeah, no, I think that's such an integral part of actually ingraining it early on for the way that they're going to have to do it down the road. And we're definitely probably going to get that solidified when eventually we meet fucking, his name's David, right? In the winter section. We're definitely going to get that moment, I assume.
100%.
So, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like, I think that was like that is real good. That's real. I was like, yes, that's real good.
You're holding a glass of wine and you're like,
literally, I was like, yo, this is truly,
bouquet.
this is truly some cinema right here. Yo, this is some, I learned HBO is home box office. This is some home box office shit right here. This is some good shit.
Some premium network content.
Absolutely. This is definitely worth $15.99 a month. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bring it up.
$9.99 if you want ads. Goddamn.
I don't know if we're missing anything. I feel I think we're good. I'm trying. I don't know if we want to do a scrub through the episode. I don't think there's anything crazy. You know, we have new motivations of them going out west and all that. I'm gonna rewatch the episode again, literally after this, just to make sure I dot my I's, cross my T's, and all that. But yeah.
The one thing I did want to bring up is the song at the end. Which, if you never heard the song, it is a Depeche Mode song. It's called "Never Let Me Down Again." Is the name of the song, and they talk about this in that Troy Baker podcast, where the choice of the song, obviously, it's an '80s song. It's very poppy, but the lyrics are dark as hell. The lyrics are about this person going on a journey with someone who has a drug addiction, and I feel like there are some connections to that song that they're applying to this that adds a little bit more context to the characters, as in like there's this lust of like going through, and I wonder if that is adding that onto Ellie or is that adding it onto Joel, just this anger that they eventually explore. But I don't know. I actually love the music choice, but what it also is about is dangers ahead, and the way that they illustrate the end of the song, the end of the script. By the way, did you see the clicker?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I was like, oh, there's a little fucker up there. I was like, there he is.
Where's my shoe? Where's my shoe?
Yeah, where's my shiv? I need it.
Yeah.
God, next week can't come fast enough. We're already what? We're gonna be coming out Wednesday, so we're almost there.
Dude,
Don't worry.
I just can't wait to see Joel kneel down and start crafting shit. I'm like, let's fucking go. Like,
Fuck crab walking, grabbing
Yes.
some nails,
Yes,
some duct
sir.
tape, acid, wherever the hell. Yeah, adhesives.
I love it. I can't wait.
Make a shiv. Oh my god, if they make a shiv,
Dude, they
out of a
gotta
stick?
make a shiv, man. I want listen,
my God.
I want nail bombs. I want shivs, bro. I need the whole thing. I want him to find a bat and put nails on that hole. Like I need all that.
My favorite TikTok so far is hey, Joel has the AR. That's endgame content.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Also, we get our first glimpse at the hospital.
Yeah.
Of course, very important, very integral to not only part one but part two as well. Cannot wait to see that unfolds.
Quick question now. Now that you just said that,
Oh yes,
is Abby in the season?
I would personally love to see it.
Yeah.
I would personally love to see it, you know, because there was a big conversation that I had a lot of talks on the road to part one with Peter Spatek where we were talking a lot about like, listen, like, yeah, okay, you know, people hate part two, whatever, right? You know, there's them and there's us, right? But like for us, right? I said I would not have mind if they integrate Abby and her dad a little bit more deeper into part one. Doesn't have to be major. It could literally only be that hospital scene. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't gotta be crazy. I mean, but just literally just add some of that. But then as a whole, I'm like, okay, maybe you don't want to touch The Last of Us as it is. Like, you know, like I can see why not. But I always dreamed of like how you can incorporate Abby and her dad in a greater way in part one. If they want to do it in this show, I'm down. I'm very down. Very down. Yeah.
No, that'd be crazy if they actually planned ahead like that. It was like, hey, we're going to obviously cast the doctor.
Yeah.
That could just be the only person that they show.
Right.
And that's the lead into season 2.
Mm-hmm.
But if they did have a sequence of like a little girl runs into a room and sees her dad, you know, like, I don't know, they do that. Holy shit. Like,
what if that's the first time we see Abby?
That's the first time we see Abby, and then like season 2, she's just jacked. She's just jacked.
Let's fucking go, man. Let's go. Yeah, I need that, man. I need that
in my life.
Incredible first episode.
Yes.
Really blown away. I'm all in. I can't wait. And
I'm
like,
all in, baby.
And
they did it.
I think. Oh no, they and like I think I'll end off with like in episode 0. I had a little bit of reservations on like, okay, like, you know, I'm personally always like I don't like when canon gets broken, right?
Sure.
In ways, but like canon here is like being twisted, but like I enjoy that they're twisting it, but like what we've highlighted through this whole episode, like they're able to give proper context as to why it is, right? And like I think
the change.
Yeah, and like I think giving us quick payoffs to change and then why, I think is creating its own separate identity that is really cool, you know. And it seems like hey, listen, no, I feel like Neil was like, listen, no matter what, they have to get from Sarah, right?
Yes.
And the intro all the way to the lie of Ellie, you know. And we got to hit these goalposts and these things that will happen. They will leave the Boston QZ with Ellie. Different motivations why, you know. But like, I think I'm gonna end up like really enjoying this, and I really do have a change of heart, you know, on like the changes that they're making, because it's not like anything brutal, at least I feel like so far, right? Like I don't feel like I'm really missing anything, you know, that I wish was in the show that wasn't in the game, which like, I think is
we didn't
I
need
think
the
is
chase
really
scene.
well.
We didn't need the Robert chase scene. We didn't need all the stealthing through the shipyard, like all that quickly. Like, no, he was a dick. He did a firefight with the Fireflies. That's why Marlene is hurt, and therefore this is why Ellie has to go with Joel to complete that quest. Easy, quick, all right, we put that together. We at least have Joel using his construction knowledge in the same like
That's
set of like.
what it was. That's
Yeah,
what
is
it
that what that
was.
was?
Wait,
Yes.
wait, guys, holy shit! It took so long. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next to Ellie having like this like idealization of the violence that Joel displayed,
Yes.
having that quick line of Joel being like, yeah, okay, so like this construction looks like it was like probably in the 60s, and like
Yeah.
this looks like it was new. Like that is incredibly smart. That I wish they did in the game. I wish they did. I wish what. That'd be so cool to have Joel being like, hey, don't walk there. That's not properly, that's not that's not okay. Like, all right. This balloon looks like I love that. Like, because, okay, it's been 20 years, but he was a construction worker. Like
that was
obviously
his history,
like he's that's a part of
oh
it.
my god, yes.
Yes,
Yeah, they
I
reference
love
the
that.
things that make those characters. So that's why like in the game they're like they kill everything. But at least the context of like the sticker of the military stuff adds now context of why they're able to do that. And the same thing of like why he would have this knowledge, why he would build certain things. I don't know. That the little context like that perfectly added.
What you thought about with Tommy and Joel being veterans, right? Maybe that makes sense as to why they were able to survive that 20 years.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, obviously, like, because as far as we know in the game, they just got good in the 20 years at surviving, but this adds really good. Yeah.
Iron Man Tommy. Fucking Iron Man Tommy in the sequel.
Yeah, man. Great stuff, man. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Very, very enjoy it. I think I'm good. I do. I'm so happy you
I'm satisfied, but I want
more.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. I was doing that construction thing. Like I thought that. Oh, so good. So good. So good. So good.
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah. I guess the one last thing.
Go ahead. Please. Go ahead. Please.
They would experience spores at one point in the game, roughly at this point, and then honestly, didn't feel like I needed it. Didn't bother me.
Okay.
Didn't bother me.
Okay.
Not even a little bit.
I'm still on that. We'll see. I just, because, I mean, I'm thinking ahead to like the moment when they go down the subway and then Joel's like, why don't you have your mask on? Like, so I'm probably being unfair at this point after I just raved at all the changes they made and then just still be hung up on that. I'm gonna not be cruel on that. We're gonna see about that, but I should be a little bit more open to that too. Like losing that, okay, Kev, like, it's not the end of the world. Not
you get to see Pedro Pascal's beautiful face.
Indeed. Quick shout out to when Joel seemingly, I don't know if it was jokingly or for real, but he tells the Attlers that he has that he's on what's it called? He's on the Atkins diet. But I think that might tie back because I did a popular video on the channel where we could see the full textured labels of Joel's medicine, and he has high blood pressure, he has all type of things. So it all kind of makes sense. Yeah, I was like, I'm like, yeah.
And it's perfect for the time frame in terms of the history of yeah. No, that's actually crisp.
Woo! And then also in the game, in the very beginning conversation where Joel's on the phone, I think with Tommy, he's like, yo, we can't lose this job, the contractor, When Joel comes in the show, he tells Sarah that they brought the wrong headers for the job, so they couldn't complete it.
Yeah.
Could
it take longer?
Yeah. So in the game, could he have been afraid that he was going to lose this job with the contractor because they brought him the wrong headers?
Maybe.
Like there's like things where like either they fill in more context or they finish like the sentence of what they set up in the game into the show. It's cool stuff. Favorite was the Atkins though. That one,
that's a good one.
That one might be its own video because that was cool. We'll see. I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. I won't talk about it, man. I will. You're right. Mario, where can people find you?
Of course, you can find me over at Point in Progress, where I do all our podcasts, including the flagship show, Point in Progress Podcast, the MC University, Model Citizen Show, and some other stuff. So keep a lookout. And I'm also on Twitter at that Mario Rivera.
Indeed. This has been Let's Watch the Last of Us HBO, the weekly podcast dedicated to any and all things Last of Us HBO as we go by episode, reviewing each one, giving our thoughts on it like we just did here for episode 1, and ending off with a whole season 1 review as a whole. Follow along on YouTube. We're on podcast services, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, etc. At the very same time, it goes live on YouTube, all at the same time across all platforms. And catch you guys next week for episode 2. Thank you all for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.
Didn't even bother saying it that time.
I love it.
Yeah.
Delightful.